I know we're feeling good. I know we're excited. I know play in, playoffs, 40 wins, 47 wins. Like we're coming up with all of these different things. Like, yo, that's great. But what are they missing? Because we kept talking about trades and Harrison Barnes and what's next. And we're going to continue to work on the roster. We're going to continue to try and improve. Nothing happened after that. And I don't think anybody's too upset about it, but nothing happened after that. Do we feel like the Kings are missing something?
There's two things they're missing, in my opinion: rim protection and an elite or close to it perimeter defender.
Okay.
Those are the two things that jump out to me. Whether or not KZ could be that, or Harrison Barnes reverts back to how he was never like an elite, but he was a very he was a serviceable perimeter defender. Whether or not those two step into that role, that's remained to be seen. They could, without adding anybody, those two could already be on the roster, available to be the perimeter defender we're talking about. The shot blocking, I don't think that's on the roster right now.
Yeah.
And I don't. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know where you get that from, because the only way that comes about is if you think Keegan Murray can play the three, and you
Clearly Mike does, because we
yeah, and he
saw it.
might be able to. Keegan Murray, since summer league and even some in this preseason, has shown a little more variety than I expected from him.
Mm-hmm.
In every which way he's been. I already thought he was good. He's been so much better than I gave him credit for coming out of Iowa, and he's shown that at the very least he can hold his own out on the perimeter, handling the ball, create his own shot, defending other wing guys. So he may have that, if not this year, eventually in his career. But the shot protection, the rim protection, I don't see where you get that without shuffling this roster and probably, number one, taking minutes away from people that you think are going to play major minutes, or just flat out moving on from somebody that is supposed to be playing major minutes in this team.
Okay. Um, I'm not overly concerned about the shot blocking aspect.
I'm not either, to be honest with you. I don't want to say it's overblown.
Is it a luxury rather than a necessity?
That probably so, because I think they can win without the rim
Because,
protection
like,
they
how
have
many
right
great
now.
shot blockers are there in the league? I know Grant Williams, or Rob Williams.
Rob
Rob
Williams.
Williams got a
Yeah.
lot of, got a lot of, like he really stood out in the finals, really the
Yeah.
postseason overall.
And he was a game changing presence.
No, for sure. And it, maybe that maybe that's where it comes into play, is when you're starting to get into the Eastern Conference Finals and the West, or the Western Conference Finals, the NBA Finals, where you really need a shot blocker.
Mhm.
Okay, that's really nice to think about. That's not quite where we're at yet, so I don't know
Yeah.
if having a shot blocker is the difference between this team making the play-in or the playoffs, or making the lottery in the
Yeah.
play-in, or what exactly it is. But it kind of feels like it's really, really great to have. There aren't a lot of them in the league. If you're fortunate enough to have one, great. Every other team is probably just going to get by with a guy who's going to work their butt off like Rashawn Holmes.
So as I'm going down the list, it feels like everybody's got one now. And I don't think this keeps the Kings out of the play-in or playoff. I really don't. But when you go down the list, let's go down the teams.
Okay.
Phoenix got one.
Yeah.
Golden State got one. Looney and Draymond do a good job of
these
it.
These are top tier teams.
Yeah. Denver got one.
Yep.
Dallas.
Again, top tier teams.
Dallas, not really.
Not a top tier team.
No. Well, there you go. Memphis, they have one with Triple J.
Yeah, that's a good call.
They got one.
I guess so.
Philly got one. Miami got one.
Mhm.
Milwaukee got one. So Those top tier teams, they have him now.
Valanciunas a shot blocker.
So he's not, but he's a big body in there, right? He's a deterrent. It's almost like Steven Adams. Like you're not going to just waltz in the paint and get an easy layup with those guys in there. They're not shot blockers in the way we think of it, but they're rim protectors. They are rim protectors. Rudy Gobert was one. Ironically, the ones who kind of didn't make it, first thing that comes on my mind was the Clippers. Zubac wasn't that guy. They didn't have that presence in the middle defensively to help him out. So I think it matters a little bit, but
so it's a necessity then, not a luxury.
A necessity to be a top flight team, not a necessity to get into the play-in or the playoffs. That's what I'll say. And the other thing that negates it, to be honest with you, is if you have some top flight perimeter defense. So
Will Z sent us this stat. Last year's top 5 defensive teams and their blocks per game: the Celtics, the Warriors, the Suns, the Heat, the Cavs. They were the top defensive teams in the league, but their blocks per game ranks: the Celtics were 2, the Warriors were 18th, Suns 22nd, the Heat, goodness gracious, he were 30th.
Wow.
And then the Cavs were 24th.
Wow.
And those were the top 5 defensive teams in the league. That's a hell of a stat from Will Z right there. That's amazing.
And this also goes back to kind of what I've talked about since we started this show with defense. Great job by Will Z, by the way. As people talk about rim protection, and like I always say, it starts on the perimeter. It starts there. Like we saw it in the playoffs with Rudy Gobert. You can be an elite shot blocker.
So when you say the perimeter, isn't that Davion though?
Yeah, it's all those people on the perimeter. That's everybody. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3 more. The game is gone to where the 4 is that
it's
now
capable.
Yeah, but that it's definitely 1, 2, 3. They've got to be able to keep guys in front of them. They've got to be able to stop guys. Just have to. Like it's not. It's I don't want to call it lazy, but it's like when you're like, oh well, we got the shot blocker behind us, so we'll just funnel him into the shot blocker. I'm not a fan of that. A lot of times, I need you to stay in front of your guy first and foremost. Don't ever take that for granted.
Mm-hmm.
So those numbers, that's what that kind of says to me, because all those teams are pretty good perimeter defenders, and the guys on the backside, they don't save you, so to speak. They just clean up when you're playing hard-nosed defense, and the guys are not at full speed and trying to get into the bucket. Those guys swallow everything up around there. They alter shots, not necessarily always block shots.
Update from practice today. This from our 1320 Kings insider, James Ham. Kevin Huerter participated fully in practice. Nice. Sounds like he is a go for tomorrow. Keegan Murray still in health and safety protocol. It's almost a certainty now Keegan Murray won't play tomorrow.
Yeah. Sucks.
That does suck. For no other reason than, obviously it sucks for him. He'll have his first NBA game at some, hopefully Saturday.
Right.
But it's not opening night. Like that's different. There's going to be a feel in the arena tomorrow at the Golden One Center. I'm sure Saturday is going to be fun as well. But it's a different type of feel. Like this is the first outing for the team, and given the fact that the 4th preseason game against the Los Angeles Lakers was sold out, I think there's going to be a really big crowd there tomorrow night, if not a completely sold out crowd. So that kind of sucks for Keegan, and especially with the offseason that he had. This just feels like terrible luck.
Yeah.
That's all this feels like, is just awful, awful luck. But hopefully, and this stuff is still so heavily guarded because I guess we're still doing this with COVID. Like, I guess this is what we have to do. It's so heavily guarded. Is he testing positive and asymptomatic? Is he feeling a bunch? Like, is he like, there are some people who have gotten knocked on their butt with COVID. Is that him? And I only ask those questions because he clears protocol tomorrow. It could take him a couple of days to get his legs back underneath him before Saturday. And that debut, given it could be something worth holding off. You know what I mean? Like it starts to become like, okay, do we really have to put him out there if he's less than 100%? Like, can we? And I think there's a lot of importance in tomorrow night's game for a variety of different reasons that we'll go over. But I think there's a lot of importance. I think they can get by without Keegan Murray, but it's kind of one of those, damn, we're starting with someone on the bench. Like, that's one of the things you try to avoid through all of training camp is we don't want to start the season with anyone not able to participate opening night.
Right.
And this is just the, the nature of times that we live in is.
Yeah. And it's super unfortunate for him and for the Kings and the fans. They want to see him, right? We want to see him out there. So
yeah,
it sucks that's how it's gotta go down. But to your point, the more I think about this, I mean, I say Saturday, maybe, because doesn't it go Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think they don't play again until Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking when you talked about like trying to get yourself back and get going, maybe you take that whole week from Monday to Wednesday, let's just say, to get your legs back and be ready for Thursday's game. Maybe that's when we see him for the first time.
Yeah, and that's a home game against Memphis.
Yep.
You got to get through Los Angeles at that point, or you've got to play Los Angeles at that point. You got to play Golden State. Those games are going to be a handful. Portland's going to be a handful, with or without Keegan
Absolutely.
Murray.
I got my eye on Portland because we talked bad about them. We don't think they're that good, and nothing's changed on my end. But I don't know. It has all the makings of a trap game, so to speak.
Oh, jeez, you can't know.
It does.
A trap game.
Yeah, you just think
the first game of the season.
Yeah, Portland. We should handle that.
No,
that's what a lot of people are saying.
No, that's we. That's what we're doing.
That's
what we're doing. That's not what they're doing.
They are.
That's not what they're doing. They're the only ones who matter.
I'm talking about it from an observer's point of view. Kings fans.
Observers can't have a trap game because observers are stupid. We're all dumb.
We absolutely have trap games.
We're all dumb. We look at the schedule and 3-9. I'm telling you, these first 12 games, like, yo, stop it. We got to stop doing this. We got to stop doing this.
Trap game, man. Be careful, Kings. Be careful.
Opening night is a trap game.
Don't listen to us, Kings. Don't listen to us. Trap game.
Opening night is a trap game for the Kings. I'm with G Witty. Who are the Kings to have a trap game?
I know.
I do think there's some importance to this game, though, that we'll talk about.